Hey, Eric.
Hey, Chris.
We have an important conversation that we need to have here, okay?
Right, yeah.
Would you like to do a 6th season of Retrograde Amnesia?
If you're down, I'm down, man.
Let's do it. Okay, good
great.
thing, because we've already placed a poll on the patreon.com/retroam where our RealNet friends have voted between two wonderful options, I think, that you came up with. I think you came up with these options, right?
Sure.
Shall we continue on to Xenosaga Episode 2? That's what all the people want to know.
I'm sorry, what's the full name of that game, Chris?
Xenosaga Episode 2, The Jesuits versus the Pharisees.
That's it.
Okay. Versus a tactics season where we will subject Eric to using a part of his brain that he has never used before.
I famously do not enjoy tactics games because they cause me to think too much.
Yes, I famously do not enjoy Xenosaga games, so either way, somebody's going to lose.
We all burn and suffer for this art. It's fine.
I like Xenosaga. It's cool. Anyway, that poll's run, and there's no end date on that poll, but, you know, I'm like the Wassermans before me. I've seen enough, and the Season 6 of Retrograde Amnesia is going to be about a tactics video game, Eric.
That doesn't mean we're never, ever going to do Xenosaga. It just means that will not be next.
No, yeah, right, exactly. I think maybe we'll have to discuss it when we get there, but we'll probably just continue to include Xenosaga games on our polls until, you know, until it's done.
It'd be super funny if we just never put up 2 again and just jump right to 3. That'd be great.
That would be funny.
But instead, we're doing a tactics season?
Yes, we are, and we haven't really discussed the games yet, but do you want to do that now?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
All right, let's do that now. I think you have to start with Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre.
Yes, this whole thing was spawned because I bought Tactics Ogre Remastered on sale and was like, wouldn't it be funny if we do a tactics season? That was like a year ago.
Yeah, and I do think it would be funny if we did a tactics season.
I do think it'd be funny. It would be tremendous content.
And despite me playing Final Fantasy Tactics probably 4 times, I don't remember hardly anything about the story, except for you do, in fact, kill God in that game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Tactics Ogre I've played 2 or 3 times, but never finished. So I would love to play either one of those games, but
2 favorites against 2 underdogs.
Or we could put 2 favorites against each other and then 2 underdogs.
That sounds dangerous, Chris.
It does sound dangerous, but I like to live on the edge a little bit.
All right, well, what other games would you like to put up?
I would like to put up Front Mission.
OG Front Mission, not Front Mission 3?
OG Front Mission, because there's a modern remake. So I think that would be...
There are 2 modern remakes.
There's 2 modern
There's the Super Famicom original, which got an English translation in the early 2000s. Then there is the PS1 remake of that Super Nintendo game, which was the basis for the DS remake that actually came out here.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the modern remake.
Okay. Well, we'd have some conversations to have about that one, but I'm very interested in Front Mission because I've never played it before. But if it makes sense to skip to 3, I don't know. Would it make sense?
I mean, 3 was the first one that came out here, and it was, you know, part of the Squaresoft PlayStation Golden Age, and I always thought it looked cool.
So let's just say for now a Front Mission game, and we'll do some further research into what would be the best to do. And for the other option, I don't really know. Some folks in the chat have brought up Valkyria Chronicles.
Fuck it, I've played like 4 hours of that game. It's all right.
The first one?
Yeah.
Oh, I've played the first one and Actually, I've played them all except for 3. Do you have any other options for us, Eric?
No, I don't know anything about tactics games.
You don't know anything about tactics games. Those were the ones that kind of bubbled to the top. There was some suggestions of various Fire Emblem games. I don't know if Fire Emblem games would be the best for your first tactics experience.
But they're Nintendo games. They're open and accessible to all.
Not if we started at the beginning. So maybe we'll let that marinate and see which come out, or do you want to lock it in right now?
You can't force me to make decisions on the podcast like this.
I don't really want to make a decision yet either, because I want to scroll back through the chats that we were having, the nomination chats that we were having a couple of weeks ago, and see if there are any other options. So in a couple of weeks, we will have that result for the listeners at home.
In the plume of bisexual lighting smoke that's going to come out of Chris's chimney will signify the Season 6 winner.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to do it. I need you to help me open up my
Flume.
Flume?
Yep, we'll hire a chimney sweep. We'll get it going on.
Okay, good. All right, great. You want to hear some hot sounds I've recorded?
Top hat.
Welcome to Retrograde Amnesia, a comprehensive podcast discussing classic Japanese role-playing games, where we discuss them chapter by chapter, beat by beat. Welcome back to the aforementioned Season 5. We are playing Xenosaga, Episode 1, Der Will Zermacht. Is it a will to power or the will to power?
The will to power.
The will to power. You only have one. You can't have just a will.
Right,
have
yeah.
to have the
Your will is your own.
Okay, good. My name is Chris. I'm joined by this guy, Eric. Hi, Guy.
I'm Eric, Guy, man.
Hey, what's
Dude,
happening?
What's up in your basement?
Nice to see you here in the...
Happy New Year.
Excuse me, the Retrograde Amnesia Studios.
Yeah.
Once you have RGB lighting, it's a studio, Eric.
That's right.
And as always, we are joined by the Realnetic collective of patrons who are listening to us record live, also watching us at patreon.com/retroam.
We're also joined by the Fake Net, our post-production AI companion, who wondered what in the hell possessed Chris to play Shadow the Hedgehog.
Initializing FakeNet.
The following lyrics will say more than I ever could.
No more gods, no more graves. Are you friend or fiend? No more life, no more death. Somewhere in between.
Chris, I'm loading my YouTube homepage, and there's a picture of, like, Chris live streams his playthrough sessions, and I don't watch those because spoilers.
Yeah.
But it's still, since I'm subscribed to our channel, it puts it on my front page, I guess. And there's just a picture of you, and it says Xenosaga stream, but the picture is of the preview photo is Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
So what happened for this to happen?
Do I need to explain myself?
As briefly as you can.
I will point out the exact moment when this happened as we get there in the podcast.
Okay,
but basically,
yeah.
I had a really, really bad beat, and after like a 3-hour stream, maybe a 4-hour stream, I was trying to beat a boss. It was another one of those situations when I should have won, but I didn't because I'm dumb.
Yeah.
And
Of
I was
course.
so upset that I exited the game and accessed the hard drive, and I was going to pull up the first game on there just to cleanse the palate.
Right.
And I chose Shadow the Hedgehog.
How'd you find it?
And we watched the introductory butt rock
It's great.
song.
It's wonderful.
I think my stream got copyright claimed because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we played the game for a few minutes, and that game's very, very bad.
Yeah.
It's very inaccessible. It doesn't like it's. couldn't even run in a straight line at times. It was difficult to do so.
I 100%ed that game.
You sick motherfucker. You sicko.
I just remember it being, the first time I played it, being very funny when you get a human machine gun for Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I was popping cops with my, SMG.
I'm sorry, do you
or
mean
whatever.
gun soldiers, sir?
Gun soldiers? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Okay, well. Shadow the Hedgehog coming to movie theaters near you in 2025.
Coming to your ears next is Space,
Space.
where we go to a cutscene. Music UTIC organization plays, and we're out in space witnessing the Federation fleet battle against the Gnosis. Albedo's eggs beams in from the ether. The Federation eggs then turn around and open fire on Albedo. In response, he turns on the jets and blazes toward them at full speed. He makes contact, and they're vaporized as he zooms by. Chris, is that an awesome display of power?
Yeah, this is what you would call an OP Gundam moment.
Oh, yeah. Just someone who's clearly overpowered everyone else's military grade stuff.
The thing about Gundam, if I may talk about Gundam for
Oh, I
just a
love it
moment,
when, yes.
even
Where's
though
the hat?
I don't have the hat. The hats are upstairs.
This is bullshit.
I'm sorry. The robot combat in Gundam, early Gundam was
You almost said robot cum. Go ahead.
Okay, I won't cut that out.
The robot combat in early Gundam.
The robot combat in early Gundam
The robot come in early Gundam.
was relatively grounded, like small battles, small skirmishes. But once it got to Gundam Wing, like the first alternate universe Gundam, or maybe the second one, there was a lot more Dynasty Warriors shit going on. And so there was lots of big beams being shot out into random directions into space and then multiple explosions happening. And that's what's happening here in the Albedo scene.
Okay. They just had to keep one-upping themselves. They couldn't ever... Escalation was the only option.
In the alternate universe stuff, yes.
Oh, of course.
Yes. The whale piercing, though, that happens in this scene, not so much. There was never any whale piercing in Gundam, as far as I know.
Albedo then mouth cackles, waves his egg's arms, and vaporizes like the entire Gnosis armada. What just happened? He caps this off by 1v1ing a whale Gnosis, which he just boosts into and destroys.
Yeah.
Cackling more, my man says.
Weak! They're all so weak!
And then he cackles even more. Chris, is the cackling for effect, or do you think he's really that nutso? Like this Joker mode shit, is it for him or is it for us?
We've had this conversation before because you remember in the anime, patreon.com/retroam, there was some mention, I think, of Margulis and Albedo's performativeness.
Yeah, where he was like, cut the shit.
Yeah, but I think this is him
Okay.
in this game. He's Kefka. He's got the Kefka laugh. And he just does it because that's part of his personality. He's been poisoned by the Holy Spirit so hard that he can't stop laughing.
I see.
basically.
That's a perfect explanation. Thank you. 5 stars.
Okay, no problem.
We then cut to the Kukai Foundation's launch pad. Shion's holding the shuttle door for Momo, who she tells to hurry and get in. But Momo, the child girl, says fuck that.
I'm okay. I've got to help treat these injured people.
Much to my surprise, Shion actually lets this happen.
All right, we'll come back for you soon.
My immediate assumption is has to happen so Momo can get kidnapped or whatever in the story for somewhere down the road when they have to go rescue her.
Yeah, and this is a sort of a weak part in the way the narrative is constructed
Never
here.
let the Mizrahi child out of your sight.
The most important girl in the galaxy is too busy shooting nanomachines on people.
And doing first aid.
Yeah, that we just need her. Shion's just going to let her go. And, like Shion is absent-minded when it comes to interpersonal relationship. But like, even if she's only treating Momo as like an important object or a scenario device, you should bring her with you.
Maybe all of Shion's mothering is focused to Cosmos.
That's true.
Is this still in the era when a woman in a video game can only be mother?
We know that Suikoden 1 was part of that moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know when when those moments ended.
Have they ended?
Was it Lara Croft?
Possible?
No.
Alone? Well, I mean, in the modern games.
Yeah, it's true.
Alone, Momo tells the injured person that they will be okay. Right as an ominous shadow approaches behind her. I can't tell who the shadow is. It would be insane if it were Albedo, but I can't imagine who else it would actually be.
But like, the shadow didn't have the Albedo cape.
Could have been an oversight?
If you were asking me if it was an oversight in terms of how the game intertwines its mechanics and its story, I would say yes. But I think in the cutscenes, there are no oversights.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's the one they had time for.
Yeah.
And if I can tease our anime series again, Chris, do you know who helps out with the evacuation of the Kukai Foundation in the anime?
Scott.
Virgil.
Great. I love the internet.
Durandal, Doc.
Video games, sorry.
The background whirring returns. I try and get on the train, but Shion thinks that she's worried about Momo ever since she left from the Foundation 10 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be better if I went to go get her. So is this something where it's like, oh shit, fuck, I shouldn't have done that. We gotta go back. Like, have you ever had to go back to a place because of a poor decision you've made?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
This is just what happened then.
Yeah. She has second thoughts.
Yeah.
The video game designers were going to put another section in here and didn't have time to do that.
Yeah, from a mechanic standpoint, it is insane to get right back on the train and go back down.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's very stupid.
Yeah.
I try and get on the train again, but no, we have to go back to the Foundation. Excellent pacing and writing. The shuttle tells me there's an evacuation advisory, which, thank you. Kukai Foundation, launch pad, we're back. I take one step out and we get into a small scene. The camera reframes Shion from a more tilted point of view. All the same NPCs still appear to be here. Shion thinks it's strange that she cannot locate Momo. I get control. I try and leave, but Shion says Momo wouldn't have gone back to the city. So we must have missed Momo on our way back to the Durandal. So now we have to go back to the Durandal. Are you shitting me, video game?
Couldn't she have asked the person that is doing the line, hey, did a pink-haired girl come through here?
Yeah.
Because remember, in the Durandal, when we were originally looking for Momo when she was upset in the park, everybody knew where that fucking girl was.
Because there's no pink-haired girls wandering around.
Well, and
She's very distinctive.
There's no pink-haired girls wandering around here either. At least there shouldn't be.
I love how all these same people are in line, scared shitless, and Shion just, again, boards the craft completely solo for the second time.
Yeah, I know. When you're waiting in line at Disney World and the Fast Pass people all get on the ride before you.
Durandal, residential area. Background whirring. I get off the train and there's a huge blood stain on the floor.
I know. I was taken aback. I was like, "Is this a bug?"
Yeah.
But I guess the Gnosis got into here too, right?
Yeah.
Or they're dragging bloody people back from the.
Somebody
place.
died there and they ate the bones. They got crystallized.
Also true.
NPCs. A lady says the Durandal can't deal with all these people, but they also can't leave them behind. And then no. What's the point of being pessimistic now? Green guy on the floor is alive but does not speak. A Wandering 100 series tells Shion that currently they're doing all they can to address the situation at the bridge. I wanted to make a more direct impact on people rather than just analyzing data.
I say that every day in my job. I don't really do data analysis, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. You look at words.
Yeah.
Silver-haired guy sitting next to a dead guy says, have you seen this guy's kid? It seems they got separated at the Foundation launch area.
That's one thing that you never want to hear ever is, have you seen this guy's kid? Because then you're responsible.
No, I think it's worse when you find a kid with no guy as opposed to a guy with no kid.
No, because you've got the kid.
Well, yeah, but then what if you never find their parents? Then it's your fucking problem for a long time. If it's a guy, you can just leave a guy.
Yeah, that's true. I saw a guy at the grocery store the other day who was helping a lady who I think was like about to faint or something.
Cool.
And he got her to sit on a
Did he get her a
bench.
fainting couch?
No, he sat her on the bench. You could tell the guy didn't want to walk away.
Yeah, but he also didn't want to be doing that shit.
But he also like had his kids with him and he's like, I gotta go, buy yogurt or something. Eventually he walked away. She's like, I'll be fine. This just happens every now and then. So it was weird.
And she died.
I pretended like I didn't hear any of it, so it wasn't my problem.
Purple-haired guy on the ground, not dead, actually. He turns and says, Mary, run. No, don't stop. Don't you lay a hand on her. This is part of the Mary fan club, Chris.
I think it's a different Mary.
There's so many Marys in this game.
Mary Magdalene?
Yeah, that's who was here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Kukai Foundation, residential area, cutscene. Alan's carrying a box of shit by himself in the hallway. It's real bad here, with injured people trying to make their way around. Shion screams his name, and in the next shot, our entire party is asking Alan if he's seen Momo, the one-of-a-kind memory robot weapon we just left putting Band-Aids on people at the Kukai Foundation.
Yes.
Alan replies with confused innocence.
No. She's not back yet? I thought she was with you.
These people are idiots. My main note is, Chaos, please do something. Because I feel like he's the only one who's capable of doing anything here. Because Ziggy's literal job is to
protect Momo,
protect the girl, and he's asking Alan.
Yeah, you know you're down bad when you're asking Alan about how to complete anything. Ziggy catches Alan and the player for some reason back up to speed.
She stayed behind to treat the injured. But she wasn't there when we returned. We thought she might have come back on her own.
And I guess at that point, Shion did have custody of Momo. So this is Shion's fault.
I believe so.
Junior dams it and wonders where the hell Momo, his girlfriend, is. Junior then suggests using important work resources to find his child bride.
All right. I'll get our 100 series to start searching. They shouldn't have any trouble being the same model and all.
So company resources, fending off an impending Gnosis attack. Well, I guess Momo is a valuable target. I don't know. Ziggy appreciates this shit and adds that while all the Gnosis have been eliminated, there's no guarantee they won't be back. Fade to black. Now we go to Mystery Momo Location.
Mystery Momo Location where she can see her breath.
Yes, I think it's Song of Nephilim, right?
What's one thing that we've learned about when a character can see their breath?
They're robots and shouldn't have lungs?
Well, actually, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking of nothing good is about to happen.
Oh, no, yeah. That's ominous foreboding.
Because it happened to Sharonkov, remember?
Yeah. Background noise. It's identical to the Kukai Foundation world map, cavernous humming. Momo awakens, lying on the ground in a cold, dark, isolated industrial area. We can see the cold air she's exhaling, like Chris said. She closes her eyes, sits up, and presents a unfortunate panty shot, then out loud wonders where she is. She wraps her arms around herself, says she's cold, and she wonders what happened. Chris, is it wise to give robots hot and cold perception?
Yes, they may need that.
To humanize them or to detect?
To see if somebody has a fever.
Wouldn't they have, like, computer readings for that? Can they just put her finger in her mouth and it's a thermometer?
So they would need to be more careful when cooking.
Okay, good, because they can cook. Excellent, yes. Thank you. You've solved that problem for me.
All right, that's what I'm here for.
Momo then flashes back to the Kukai Foundation evacuation. She's at the launch pad, walking toward the shuttle amid the hustle and bustle of frightened populace. Momo turns around and looks back, and she appears to see a figure ascending the staircase back into the Kukai Foundation.
Daddy.
She says daddy a few times.
Daddy? Daddy?
Then rushes over to the stairs. Chris, why would it be daddy?
Why would it be daddy?
How come daddy's here?
Daddy's not here.
Why is there daddy?
Daddy's not here? What I think is happening is that Albedo has paid somebody to dress like daddy.
Oh, a daddy alike.
Yeah. Or there's just some weird robot shit going on.
And she's projecting daddy onto him? Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, this has got to be part of the trap that she's about to walk into.
Oh, absolutely. The old daddy man wanders into an empty alley against a brick wall. Momo follows, and we get into a dark alley, I think City Sector 26 by that pickup truck. An optimistic Momo, breathing heavily, enters the alley. The camera slowly pulls around to reveal that no one's there. A dark, ominous tone dominates the soundscape as a figure approaches behind Momo. What I can only describe as a sequence that is cool as fuck, the camera cuts to reveal Albedo standing directly behind her. My dude dramatically flaps his cape, which, yes, looks like an angel wing.
Do Albedo's wing capes serve any purpose other than just being the ultimate flourish?
I mean, he is white. He is angelic. I think it's a flourish. He can glide with them if you're asking me that question.
I feel like he can glide without the wings, though. We saw him glide without the wings when he was a boy in the flashback.
If you could get away with wearing a cape, would you? Maybe that's why he's doing it. It goes with his personality.
That's what I'm getting
at. Yeah.
So I think that's what's going on here. And it is a terrifying kind of scene the way it's framed. Like, it is meant to make you feel scared.
Honestly, in no circumstance would I fuck with a guy wearing a cape. Ever.
I can't really think of a situation in which I would.
No. It's tough to tell in the smooth PS2 days, but it cuts to Momo's face, and her reaction is a mixture of shock and horror. We fade to white with an ominous whoosh. Back in the cold hallway of the present, Momo, fully aware of how she got here now, stands up at attention. Correction, Momo then shakes her head and declares that actually she can't remember how she got here. Then she says,
What
all. It's so strange. It's faint, but it's coming from somewhere. Who's there?
Momo wanders around some debris and finds a slumped over 100 series. Fade to black. And like my first brain thought here, is this one of Albedo's discarded Kirschwassers?
I think the answer to that we're going to find out is yes.
Yeah.
But I think it's here for a particular reason.
We then cut to space, where I guess the Federation fleet is still at war with the Gnosis horde. Music UTIC organization plays. A huge Latham Gnosis belly flops its shit across the smattering of Federation ships.
Was that a Panzer Dragoon Saga reference?
It was. Congratulations. Your brain remembers, Chris.
Good job.
Patreon.com/retroam. A generic voice aboard a generic ship tells the player that the Gnosis gate outs are increasing. Our fucking left wing deployment is 60 goddamn seconds behind. Our second egg's defense line is beyond battered. The captain, a bald dude, wants to rebuild the ship first. What? Is that right? Rebuild?
Rebuild the ship? No, he...
Repel?
We must rebuild the fleet formation first. Hey, any data from the 100 series?
Why did I write rebuild? What was I talking about?
Okay, he says we must rebuild the fleet formation first.
Oh, of course.
Rebuild the formation, Eric.
Right, form up.
Yes.
He then asks his comms man if there's any data from the 100 series. The dude tells him no, sir, and all the Gnosis are gathered in a 100-kilometer radius around the Kukai Foundation.
So this entire space bridge scene has a camera that is kind of in the center of the speaking characters, and it whips around very violently. And my note here is Takahashi is unleashed in this scene because he's whipping the camera as hard as fuck. Like
it's full Michael Bay.
Like this is the Bourne Identity. Which Bourne movie was the one that had way too much camera shake?
All of them.
Was it all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chris, are we getting devastated in space because Junior has vital company resources tracking Momo?
No, I think it's all...
This would have happened anyway.
But the plane is already flying into the mountain.
This beautiful bald bitch slams his head on the console and says,
Damn, Helmer. The phantoms of Milsha really do follow in his wake, don't they? All turrets, adjust your sights to the Kukai Foundation.
So is there some sort of weird like McCarthyism going on with Helmer and the people who survived the original Milshan conflict or something?
I think we'll come to learn, I think through the Council of Fucked Up Guys, that Second Milsha is not viewed upon favorably. Like they think they have special privileges that the rest of space humans are envious of and resent. And Helmer, as representative of Second Milsha, seems to be like who he's pointing to as responsible for this.
Okay, that seems plausible.
And my next question is, wait, they're going to open fire on the Foundation to get to help? We then get a shot of all the remaining Federation ships out in space, slowly turning around to face the Kukai Foundation. Fade to black, and we're back in that hallway with Momo. The world hum returns. Momo is crouched down by the fallen 100 series, which she has now propped up. She identifies it as number 0097. Music, Song of Nephilim plays, and Momo identifies this one as her sister, because they're all her sisters.
That's it, isn't it? This is Daddy's place. I finally get to meet you. We can't even talk. There were so many things I wanted to ask. About you, about Daddy.
My note is, this is fucked. The 100 series eyes are wide open, but it looks dead and slumped over.
In a more modern development environment, this would have been more fucked because like a lot of eyes look dead anyway in the PS2, you know?
Right.
But
we were trained on dead eyes at that point.
But the scene still works nonetheless. You can still tell something's wrong.
The 100 series then kind of moves under its own power, and Momo is thrilled that this thing is alive, and she asks if it's okay. She asks who did this to her. The 100 series then heaves its body toward Momo, raising its hand to caress Momo's face. Momo takes that hand in both of her hands, then closes her eyes. When Momo opens her eyes, we ominous whoosh ourselves into another flashback as music, Inner Space, plays. We're at the tower Mizrahi threw himself off of, and now we're seeing what's inside of it. Momo is a naked child in a science test tube like what Faye and Ellie were in, also naked at Tara's house in Xenogears.
Also, Emeralda, girl in tube.
That's right.
So can we whiff, please?
Yeah, I'm whiffing.
I'm whiffing really hard. That's number 21.
Mizrahi approaches and gets on the mic.
Soon you will be born into this world. And once you arrive, you must do many good deeds. If you do, you can become human. You can become my Sakura.
So this guy's just a Pinocchio dad.
This is a Pinocchio deal. Yeah, this is literally a Pinocchio situation. Momo says daddy as the memory liquefies to reality, revealing Albedo standing before the 100 series in a different flashback. My dude extends his hands and then starts to silently crack his knuckles. My dude then villain swipes so hard at something that it creates a brutal flesh-crackling sound.
Initializing fake net.
That something was the Kershwasser's head. Anyway, here is that audio.
Albedo laughs maniacally as it fades to black. It's a poor metaphor there, Chris. I should have said bone crackling. I don't know that flesh crackles. Unless you set it on fire and then make it crispy.
Tendons can crackle.
They can. That's good. I haven't experienced that myself yet, but we'll get there at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whenever you crack your knuckles, your tendons.
I don't do that shit. That's for psychos.
Well, don't you stretch and get I mean, that's not your tendons crackling. That's like air being released. Or
ask me anything about human physiology.
You don't crack. You don't ever crack when you stretch.
I mean, I stay cool under pressure.
Your knees don't pop every now and then.
I have some cracking in my shin bones when I walk upstairs.
Oh, that sounds more fucked than my knee. Like your knee just slightly popping.
When we leave here, I'll show. I can do it on command now. It's great.
Okay. Flex my big toe and my Achilles will crackle.
That's pretty cool.
It's gone away since I've upped my mileage. I guess I've strengthened my ankles.
Yeah,
more
you're doing some eccentric leg drops
or something. I don't know.
I have to do 80 of those every day for my Achilles. It sucks. The 100 series, back in real time, removes its hand from Momo. It's clear now that the 100 series was trying to transfer a memory by the hand gesture. The 100 series then stares at Momo with dead eyes before collapsing into her arms. Chris, can you transfer memories to me by touching my face?
I wish.
Me too.
I wish. There's a lot of memory transferring about to happen too.
Yeah.
Differently.
Full deal.
Yeah.
Because Xenosaga thinks subtlety is for cowards, Momo out loud wonders if that was the 100 series memory. Momo then stands up and thanks the 100 series for letting her see Daddy. For some reason, Momo also assumes this is confirmation that Daddy is right through the door up ahead. As Momo walks toward the door, the camera veers over to the 100 series, coming to rest on her hand. It twitches slightly, and then it fades to black. Durandal Bridge, cutscene.
Yeah.
We're on the bridge. A 100 series announces the Federation fleet has surrounded the Kukai Foundation. Shion wonders what they're up to, but Shelley thinks she knows.
I think I know. Look at the movements of the Gnosis. The pattern of Gnosis gateouts are near the center of the Foundation.
Guinan asks about the Zohar collection in the hangar. Mary tells him,
They're in stasis! Attract inhibitor output is normal!
So the attract inhibitor output, that's the draw of, the power to draw Gnosis, is at the regular levels?
I guess?
Will they knock them up and set them down? Why is it turned on?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do they use these things to generate energy?
Dude, what if the Kukai Foundation was like a fucked organization that was just drawing Gnosis out at random points around the universe through Zohar emulators?
They are a fucked organization, but I don't know if they're doing that.
I don't think it is. That seems like they have the potential to be that evil.
But they seem to be aware of at least these few threads of the scenario.
I just think more people should be fighting over their emulator possession strategies and not whatever we're fighting over right now that I don't actually know about.
That's a really good point.
It's a valuable resource, and you guys got 13 of them, and they're all named after apostles. What are you all doing down here?
UTIC hasn't explicitly attacked the Kukai Foundation, have they? They've been doing all this subversive stuff by manipulating the council and whatnot. UTIC wants this shit, but they don't seem to try to go take it by force necessarily.
They want to make someone else take it for them,
or maybe
proxy.
Maybe the UTIC organization is not as strong as the Durandal. I mean, that seems plausible.
Yeah,
right?
That is pretty good. That is some pretty good firepower. Guinan wonders what is calling the Gnosis if it's not the Zohars. Junior steps in to remind him.
Guinan. It's that song we've been hearing, isn't it?
Guinan confirms, indeed, it's faint, but there's no mistaking it. No one else seems to be able to hear it, though. Didn't Chaos hear it earlier? He got mad and he was like, no, they can't allow that to play.
Yes, Chaos heard it. And, go ahead.
And right as he said that, I'm wondering, okay, who's it going to be? Who else is going to hear it? My first thought is Cosmos. Why keep an audience waiting, Chris? As the camera cuts to an enlightened Shion and she says, hey.
Hey, do you guys hear something? It sounds like a song.
Alan tries to listen closely, but he doesn't hear anything, and he wonders if Shion is imagining things. Chris, the woman is hysterical.
We've been wondering aloud throughout the course of this podcast if Shion actually has some sort of special girl destiny.
Destiny maneuvers.
And I think this is just another thing to confirm that, yes, she is some sort of piece of the scenario.
Junior, communicating telepathically with Guinan, wonders,
She hears it. How's that possible?
Guinan too wonders why he's feeling so unsettled, and he says something about an image not leaving his mind. Junior adds more.
You too? This darkness. I feel like I'm being dragged down into an abyss.
Chris, the robots have depression.
Robots can have depression, yes. I think that's true.
Well, yeah, we've played Nier. We know robots can have depression. But I mean, these robots.
Yeah, these robots can have depression, because remember, they needed counseling on the Woglinde. Realians, specifically. I can't...
URTVs are special Realians, right? Were they prototype Realians?
They are some type... Yes.
Evolutionarily before Realians. Because Realians were meant to be refinements of that, since they all went fucking crazy back 14 years ago.
Yes, but I think URTVs were created to be... They're created to be hosts, basically, I think. Well, no, they're retroviruses, excuse me. Right?
Dude.
Udu retrovirus,
Yeah,
that's what it stands for, right? Okay. You know, I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about URTVs lately.
Yeah.
I haven't. I've been thinking about all the other shit, but not URTVs. Maybe we'll get back to... I think Xenosaga 2 focuses on the URTV stuff a lot, if I remember correctly. So, we'll see.
I mean, I do, when my morning meditations, I spend 5 to 10 minutes on URTV theory. So that's why I'm so up to
Good
date
for
on
you.
it. Junior and Guinan both look up, like Gnosis surfing in space above them, and simultaneously say it can't be. Hard cut. Back to the Song of Nephilim, we think. We're back with Momo. Anxiety plays, and we're about to witness the scene that was rearranged and censored for the North American release of the game.
We'll get there, but there's also a part that was uncensored.
They made it worse, in some case.
Yeah, so we'll get there.
She steps through a dark hallway and she sees something that I can't see. She says, I knew it. I knew I wasn't imagining it. Before Momo can get any further, she steps into an obstruction, a leg, a body. She looks down into another lifeless 100 series. The camera pulls away to reveal many dead 100 series. Momo falls to her knees and either throws up into her hands or at least dry heaves.
In your life, when you originally played this game, is this your first foray into an uncomfortable anime moment?
I mean, in 2003 or now?
In 2003, like when you first played this game, was it? Like,
I mean, define uncomfortable anime moment.
Just something that's like the acknowledgement of, wow, this is trying to fuck me up.
I mean, what happens?
You hadn't watched much anime, so.
Before this, I'd watched approximately, let's say, 2 hours total of anime in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're up to like 10.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well. This was evoking the same kind of feelings that I would get in... I mean, let's just use Evangelion as an example. There is some uncomfortable shit to look at in that. And
well, there's uncomfortable as in it didn't age well. Why are we sexualizing the child? And uncomfortable as like it should be uncomfortable.
And this scene, it does both.
Yeah. So. Good. Great. With stuff like this, do you think this is like from a direction standpoint, we have to include this and they're rubbing their hands together when we're about to get real fucked up? Do you think the production team looks forward to stuff like this because this is when they're about to shake the players' marbles inside of their head until they start spilling out of their ears, or is it?
I think whoever wrote this scene, the answer is yes. I don't know.
Do you think they know what they're doing here? This isn't just part of the process. This is a beat they wanted to hit real hard.
It feels like it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I mean, isn't this one of the standout scenes of this game?
This is a thing that I remembered in glorious detail.
Yeah.
This is what I aimed you all over on AOL or whatever.
Yeah. And there's no way to know what the intent was. But to me, it feels, I guess, gratuitous would be the word.
Gratuitous is a good word for that, designed. We cut to a candelabra next to a throne, and Albedo's voice as music. Albedo plays.
Of course.
Such tears. What beauty they hold. These tears of sorrow. Surely they are the most precious substance in the world.
That line right there is a banger. Like
it's real good.
I want to separate that line from the content of the scene and just in that line on its own. I love it.
I do believe that Albedo can taste different tears and feel the trauma under which they were produced.
That sounds like something that he would be into.
Yeah. We see Albedo sitting there cradling yet another 100 series. We cut to a portrait shot of Albedo where he asks,
"But are you worthy to shed such tears? The act of mourning the dead belongs to the realm of humans."
Great question.
When he asks if the robots are worthy of such tears, he is essentially presenting the counter argument to the disposition of this game of like, these robots don't have real consciousness.
No, I can stab them in the head and it doesn't matter because they have no soul.
That is what he is both saying and performing here.
But do you also think that's a realization that he has no soul? So it doesn't matter what he does anyway.
I think he has a soul, or I think he thinks he has a soul.
That's what makes him different?
And if I remember, I will explain to you why when we get there.
Okay. Albedo takes the 100 series in his arms, and this is the divergence point between the Japanese and North American version of the game.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel, or I guess creator, Hell's Synonium, has a side-by-side video of this entire 5-minute scene. I recommend looking that up because that's what I did.
Yeah, I watched it, I believe, yesterday.
But already, Albedo's head movements are different as he observes the corpse and says,
"Ah, my beautiful little Kirschwasser. But still, can you really call this a corpse?"
In the English version, the version we played, Albedo cradles the lifeless arm of the 100 series, then drops it. In the original version, he breaks the fucking bone and snaps it backwards. Momo doesn't look away in the English version, but she winces and turns her head in the original. Albedo stands up and says,
"Frailty, thy name is woman."
That's from Hamlet.
Oh,
yeah.
Good. So he can get juniored up too. Albedo is also well read.
Good point. Good point.
Did they install Shakespearean programs in the URTV training courses? Like, was this some Matrix shit that was uploaded?
You and I had to read Hamlet, probably.
They must be wordly. No, I read Macbeth that year, unfortunately.
I read Macbeth one year and Hamlet the next, I think.
If we did read Hamlet, it's gone. I have nothing.
The frailty, thy name is woman, is actually, that line is in the UMN database.
Really?
And it tells you it's from Hamlet. Yeah.
Good. Thank you for assuming I'm not read UMN database.
No, that's not right. You little Yalians weren't even born from a woman's womb.
And at that point, Albedo has stepped off his throne and begins to approach Momo. In the original Japanese version, Albedo tosses the corpse into the body pile. In the English version, we hear it, but it cuts away to Momo as she winces and we don't see the body drop.
Yeah.
We then cut to Momo's point of view as Albedo approaches. In the Japanese version, he pulls a knife out from behind his back.
Fucking knife.
In the English version, he reaches a menacing hand toward Momo.
I understand why they made some of the changes they made later. I don't understand why they took the knife out. I guess holding a knife up to a child's face.
I think so. It's not about like how violent or how you perceive it. It's about what can be shown on screen to classify certain ratings, I think. It's kind of one of those things where Nathan Drake can kill 1,000 people, but they can't bleed.
Yeah. Okay.
No way.
Yeah. The ESRB was around by this point in time. Yeah.
About 10 years in.
Yeah.
In the Japanese version, he holds the knife to her face and kind of dances it around her skin. In the English version, he just kind of pulls her head close to his. My dude then goes on one.
The human race, fearful in its weakness, built this world in a futile attempt to elude the abyss they call mortality, culture, civilization, all delusions created by a powerless race, and a little loose, like a barren woman.
Fuck.
Does Albedo work for the Daily Wire?
Woman's only purpose is to give... I can see how he views humans as organic creatures as a binary like that.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense. Like I don't think he would write for the Daily Wire because he'd probably want to just kill them.
Yeah.
Like as badly as I do, parody allegedly, but like...
But amidst all this, you continue to exist as an unfettered soul, free from the shackles of flesh and blood, a completely pure consciousness, an eternal spiral, undefiled by impurities, a fusion of fire, breath, and spirit. What can we call you but angels? New, unadulterated psyches, but what you lack is reality, and that is what I shall provide you with!
It is very... This isn't a phrase. I almost said it's very foreshadowing, but it is him calling them angels foreshadows some shit in either Xenosaga 2 or 3 that I can't remember. I think it's 2.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
During this, his hand movement rigging is mostly the same, but the knife was removed from his hand in the English version. But after he ends that one, he cuts off the left hand at the forearm in the Japanese version, but he fucking rips it off in the English version.
Which is more violent?
I think ripping your own hand off is more violent than cutting it off.
It depends on how long it takes to cut through the bone.
That's a good point. If you just slices through it like a samurai sword, it's probably not that bad.
Yeah.
In front of Momo in both versions, Albedo then waves around his recently amputated arm in brilliant, glowing violet light. My dude then regenerates the appendage, the shock of which knocks Momo down on her ass. Albedo then laughs maniacally as he is wont to do. Chris, on the first episode of this season, you wanted Tetsuya Takahashi to fuck you up real good, and here's his most explicit shot at doing that in Xenosaga. Because the arm thing there would have sufficed. It would have been enough, but then Albedo amplifies that action by orders of magnitude.
Yeah.
Albedo grabs his head and cackles wildly. The camera dances around, kind of obscuring what's happening, but in the original version, there's some kind of spray of red mist, while Albedo appears to cut his head off. In the English version, it's implied that he just yanks it off while screaming. The head hits the floor with a hard thud, but Albedo keeps laughing. Momo tries to crawl away, not to look at this shit, but she's drawn back to the spectacle. The Japanese version now has Albedo's feet in the frame, whereas the American version, I remind you, the censored version, has Albedo's head lying sideways at those same feet.
Yeah, there's like a very, very dark shadow casted over where Albedo's head would be, which makes me think that they originally animated that for the original release, and were like, we can't show this in Japan for whatever reason. They put the shadow over top of it, and then when they redid it for the US, they unshadowed it.
The head speaks.
Yeah.
Ah, ma belle pêche. There's no need to tremble like that. Else, you'll make me feel like a pêche myself.
Do you want to talk about the difference between Pesh and Pesh here?
Pesh and Pesh?
He used two different accent. The word is accented differently.
The final one has an accent on the E?
Yes. The first one, as we discussed before...
Chris, the native French speaker, as
yes. Well. No, the person who is looking at the human database right now is French for peach.
Right.
And the second one, péché, is French for sinner. So he's doing a little punny thing.
Wow. A pun survived translation? That's...
Either a pun survived translation, or the localizers did a really good job of coming up with a replacement, or they were using the word pesh in the original script. Yeah,
it's possible.
I don't know what the truth is there, but either way, it's there, and it's fun that the human database tells us what it means.
Initializing fake net.
The pesh pun was present in the original script. Here it is in the original Japanese dub.
Kawaii peshe.
The next shot syncs back up, with the head speaking in both frames.
Was that a glimpse of a man that I caught in your heart? Who is it? This red-haired Rubido. Oh, it's Rubido. Oh, that's just perfect.
Albedo laughs maniacally, and we see his body place a foot on top of the head. Then he crushes the head with a great meat splat noise.
Yeah, That meat splat noise is unpleasant.
It's pretty good. FakeNet, play it 3 times in a row.
Okay, I'll pretend it's your heads and also my head.
Then we get a portrait shot of Albedo as the new head materializes out of the ether. He runs his fingers through his hair, telling Momo,
"Do you know what he said while he coughed up his lifeblood? Except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. Wheat, there's enough of it. We can afford to waste as much as we want. Like my head, you see?"
Chris, what's that a quote from?
It's from Jesus.
Jesus said it.
Hey, Zeus.
It's from John 12:24. When you say corn and wheat in the same sentence, there's like a 50% chance you're going to activate me. And this line, I could tell this was a Bible verse.
Can I read the rest of the line?
Yeah.
He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. So he's referencing his own death, pointing his disciples toward the power of what's about to happen.
Yeah.
So how activated are you?
Extremely. There's no degrees of activation in this podcast, but let's go ahead and hit the button.
Catholic schoolboy activation.
That's number 7.
So, fuck me up, Takahashi. The head stomping. This is the moment that we were talking about in episode 1, right? This is where I want this game to do things to me. The video games, it is a little bit shock value. Maybe it's a cheap pop.
Yeah, it feels more gratuitous now than it did back then.
Yeah, but games didn't go here.
I don't know if in 2003 I could sense gratuity also.
Oh, no. I love this shit.
Yeah.
Fucking spoon feed it to me.
Yeah.
Albedo then runs his hands across Momo's face and asks her,
"What do you think, my beloved Pesh?"
And this is where Momo taps out. She faints, and Albedo stands over her laughing maniacally. End scene. When the camera pulls out, it's revealed the only lighting in here is just a bunch of candles. I need to believe that Albedo lit all of these to entertain himself while he does villain pondering and 100 series caressing.
He needs these for his villain pondering.
Yeah.
Because he's got to consult his tomes so he can get these good lines. His French to English or Japanese dictionary.
Cut to space.
Space.
Federation vs. Gnosis battle continues as music Omega plays. The rogue Federation commander is informed by the subordinate that they have not yet received their attack order from Fleet Command. My dude tells him,
"That's irrelevant. Their treachery is already well known. We'll settle this right now. Target the Kukai Foundation. All ships, fire on..."
But then something unexpected happens. We cut out to space and a wave of energy vaporizes the Gnosis. Aboard the Durandal, Juniors wonders what that was. The music swells and we cut to space where a new ship joins the melee.
Hell yeah.
It's the Damrung.
It's the tall geese.
What is the tall geese?
Sorry, nothing. It's nothing. Stop.
I can think of no image more terrifying than a goose on like stilt legs.
It's the name of a mobile suit.
Oh, for fuck's sake, man.
By the way,
shut the fuck up. The rogue captain says impossible to... What were you saying?
Is this the only song in the game with guitars?
Omega?
Because this song has guitars.
It's possible.
Like synthesized, like not
yeah,
real.
They're sampled, but...
Yeah, I was kind of feeling it.
Okay, you're really feeling it.
Because at first I thought this was going to be some sort of coup.
Oh yeah, we were airing toward that, definitely. Before the private enterprise had to come in and set the military straight.
But exactly. But once I heard the guitars, I was like, something heroic is about to happen. There's about to be an anime moment of the Lord. And I think the Damrung satisfies all the criteria of having an anime moment of the Lord. In space, by the way, which is a whole nother degree of anime moment.
The rogue captain says impossible. That isn't supposed to be here. Is that a weird localization, or can he not believe this shit, or is all of this off script for some kind of conspiracy? Was this not supposed to happen?
The Damrung is Wilhelm's ship.
Right, but I think the Federation was itching for a way to vaporize the Kukai Foundation, and that all the pieces were being moved to do that, and then the Damrung interceded till that didn't happen. He said, this isn't supposed to be here, like that interrupts his well-laid plans by Utic or fucking whoever.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that Wilhelm had to, Wilhelm is content to sit there and look at his goddamn compass and his chessboard and talk to his hooded friends, not those kind of hooded friends.
Well, we don't know.
Well, actually, yeah, we don't know. This sprung him into action because some things were going slightly off scenario.
Do Wilhelm and Chaos know the same amount of shit? And they just choose to intercede when things start going out of the compass of order? Does Chaos have the compass of order like Pocket Watch version?
I think Chaos knows more shit, but not by much.
Okay, so it's Wilhelm's catching up.
Yeah.
As the shadow of the Damrung eclipses the Kukai Foundation, Shion on the bridge of the Durandal looks up in disbelief. Chris, every remote workplace inevitably has a surprise visit from corporate.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
That's what's happening here, is like her boss just came?
Yeah, like, why are you here? Yeah.
What are you all doing here?
Shion didn't know... I mean, I don't think she's had really... Well, she's had no interaction with anybody at Vector except for Miyuki, I think.
Yeah, but
and her
Miyuki
boss
relayed
one time.
information from Vector aboard the Damrung.
Yeah, but I don't think that Shion is necessarily aware that Vector corporate is involved with all this other shit.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess she would have to suspect that a little bit, but for her, like at the beginning of this game, her perspective was that Vector was developing Cosmos to kill Gnosis, not because of all this other, scenario shit.
Not that Wilhelm's ship can also kill all of Gnosis instantly.
Yeah, you been holding that on me, son?
But there are more new ships in this surprise fleet, as the, Vector fleet captain announces,
Woglin Day 2, Welhoon Day, Floss Hill Day, all systems check. Rhine Maiden operating within normal parameters. 30 seconds to second wave of attack. Coordinate corrections for Woglin Day complete. Floss Hill Day also complete.
And again, Woglinde, Velgund, and Flosshild are the names of the Rhine Maidens of Richard Wagner's Der Ring des Nibel...
Yes.
Fake Netz initialisieren. You are trying to say Der Ring des Nibelungen.
Absolutely.
The camera then floats by Wilhelming at his Wilhelm desk. They're prepping for the second wave of the attack. Wilhelm raises his left hand, the hand of the devil. Then whatever ship that is floating above the Damrung transforms into a cannon. Presumably, so do all the other ships in the fleet, because then all four combine fire and simultaneously burst out wave energy.
Yeah, what's this wave energy? This is new, right?
Yes, I haven't seen this before.
I guess you can kill Gnosis with vibrations. Is that what they're doing? This is a sound wave attack.
I think so, but why did it require ships linking up like combiners for sustained power? Yeah, where's the Gundam in this one?
In the vicinity.
Dipshit.
No, actually, I was going to say in the vicinity of like, they all have to all link up to the main power source here, whatever that might be. Maybe that's the damn wrong. But as that thought was working its way through my brain to my mouth, I am going to replace that thought with
new thoughts.
Anime.
Okay, good. That's all you had to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
On the bridge of the Durandal, Shion takes in the scope of the Rhine Maiden. Out of nowhere, an ecstatic Miyuki zooms into the bridge of the Durandal. Shion asks where Miyuki is calling from. Miyuki replies,
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Pretty cool, huh? Did you see the Rhine Maiden? I am so glad I requested that transfer to 2nd Division. If I didn't, I never would have seen this beauty in action.
Shion can't believe this shit, that Miyuki transferred out of her division. Rather than explain how that happened, Miyuki asks if Cosmos is there. Shion says yeah, then Miyuki cuts her off and teleports a Vector-branded briefcase onto the bridge of the Durandal. Nothing good's in that case, Chris.
Is anything good ever in a case?
In a briefcase, no. No way.
Even if it's money, you don't want that money.
Absolutely not.
Someone will kill you for it.
Yes, right. Shion opens the case, and it's a red and gold piece of lead or a fucking paperweight or whatever. The viewer will have no idea what this is. Rather than explain it, music startup test plays. Miyuki tells Shion,
There's some type of force field concentrated near here. There's a very high probability that it's what's attracting the Gnosis.
Shion Feifong Wong the word force field, which prompts Miyuki to go on one.
Right. The observational guy said that whatever it is, it's definitely something man-made. Anyway, we can find the origin of this force field if we link up the Damarung's mainframe with Cosmos' DSSS sensor. It appears as though the enemy's using some kind of cloaking device to conceal itself right now. But there should be a wrinkle or two in the surrounding space, though. We figured that if we can tear those open, we'll be able to find out what we're dealing with.
Chris, what's any of that mean?
We need to get to the end of the game.
Yep, that's it. Shion again asks about the thing in the case, which she calls the PT cartridge. Apparently it's a big deal because Shion's very sternly asked Miyuki,
Do you have any idea what this thing is?
Miyuki replies, of course, or so I'd like to claim, but I actually just transferred in, so I'm not really sure. Shion responds to this bullshit by going on one herself.
Look, Miyuki. This cartridge is a weapon. It sets off a phase transfer that destroys everything in the area. It may be localized, but you could vaporize an entire star with this thing if you wanted to. You'd have to be insane to try using this in a populated area.
Chris, so it's a bomb. We're going to bomb the Gnosis with a suitcase nuke. Why do we have this power that can blow up a star in my hand?
We're going to localize Mother 3.
That's right. Thank you, Reggie. You did it. Now it's time for Cosmos to contribute a solution.
By limiting the phase transfer mass, I can activate the device without impacting either the Federation fleet or the Kukai Foundation.
Is any shit necessary? Can you just say we updated Cosmos' firmware so she can do it?
Was firmware a thing in 2003?
Had to be.
I mean, I'm sure there was, but the term is just as space as all the other space terms at this point in time.
Motherfucker, we get weapon updates for Cosmos in email all the time.
That's true. That is true.
I'm just saying, somebody wanted a suitcase nuke in this game real bad, and they got it.
Yeah, the weapon terminology is just another side of the gratuity coin in Xenosaga. Like, let's just have some words.
Cosmos goes on to say this is one of her many functions after Shion is surprised she can do that. We should have had a count for the number of times Cosmos does something that Shion doesn't know about. Miyuki frames this as a way to take out the source of the Gnosis before they overwhelm us, because even the Rhine Maiden has its limitations. Shion protests, but Junior has some lore.
Shion, this is the song of Nephilim. There's no question about it.
Shion asks what that is, and now it's Junior's turn to get epic.
The single worst creation that ever resulted from Joachim Mizrahi's research. It was the song that destroyed Milsha and summoned the Gnosis. We've got to stop it before everything goes out of control.
Junior reminds the gang they haven't found Momo yet. As a matter of fact, Ziggy is also concerned with this. The 100 series squad cannot locate Momo either. Ziggy presses Shion to make a decision since we can't hold out against another Gnosis attack. Shion agrees, let's see what we can do. Cut to space, CG cutscene. Music, The Miracle plays. Cosmos is out there. Shion gives her instructions.
Listen to me, Cosmos. Try to keep the phase transfer mass as low as possible. All we need is the locus of that force field.
Cosmo, do you ever reply that when you're at a job, your work job with someone is like, Chris, what do I do? And you just say, just keep the phase transfer mass as low as you can.
I'm going to start doing that.
See what happens. Cosmos
Someone
replies,
will believe me.
Affirmative. Setting transfer mass to 0.11 MPT. Transfer time set to 4.8 times 10 to the negative 38th. Loading cartridge.
Cosmos then loads that cartridge into a silver and purple pistol in space. The cartridge then transforms into a comically large rifle. It's huge. The scope is 40 feet behind her head.
When she first pulled out like just the revolver looking thing, I was like, she's going to do something with a goddamn revolver. Oh.
Yeah, they did the you hydrated a pizza mom Back to the Future 2 thing with a gun.
Okay.
Miyuki barks out.
Optimus Prime's trailer.
That just gets summoned in from somewhere else. I think it always remains like constant size. Or do you think it's miniature and blows up?
No, I think it exists in a pocket dimension.
FakeNet, where does Optimus Prime's trailer exist?
Initializing FakeNet.
The most popular answer to this question, via a Reddit thread with 750 replies, is that it stays out of frame until the plot calls for it.
Oh.
Weird.
Cosmos then runs a UMN scan of space and finds the distortion at 8018 near the UMN structure. Chris, it is currently emanating a weak column pulse. Shion knows it. The line of fire is clear. Cosmos awaits orders. Shelly gives the okay for all the other shit, telling Shion that Cosmos can fire at will. Shion hero swipes and tells Cosmos to fire the phase transfer cannon. Cosmos fires a blue plasma blast out into space. For a moment, nothing happens. But then the stealth camo around a large object begins to short out.
Oh my god.
It's a navy blue and red wedge. The shot closes with a massive zoom-out shot, framing a tiny Cosmos against the Goliath wedge structure in space. This is
the Song of Nephilim,
which is a place in addition to a song.
Yes.
So we just blew away its octo camo?
Yes.
That was what the giant gun was for, with the mass star nuke device fired from a transforming pistol from a robot in space.
Those are the 2 points. I cannot draw the line between the 2 points, but yes, you have identified the 2 points.
So do you think they worked backwards with like, all right, how do we reveal the Song of Nephilim? Somebody's like, I got it.
No.
Do you guys know about the phase space transfer cannon?
Well, that's a really good point. Did they know the Song of Nephilim was here when they arrived?
Yeah.
When the Damarung arrived? I don't know. Or did they have the idea, like, once they started figuring, like, someone on the fucking Damarung can hear the song, right?
Yeah.
Okay, probably.
So it's like whenever you're close to this thing in space, it starts emitting a song that only those with ears attuned to hear it can listen to.
Their DNA has to be infused with some sort of heavenly material, or they have to be a robot.
Okay. And is there anything to you more personally terrifying than an object from Miltia out in space with octo camo emitting a song?
Well, no, this is the thing that caused all the problems in the original Miltia, right?
Yeah.
Is this what caused the Realians to revolt in the original?
The song, yeah. They heard the song and went nuts.
That's right. We already knew that. That's right. I forget that the URTVs and the Realians are kind of the same thing in that scenario.
There are no Realians. They're just URTVs. Or no, there have to be Realians because Virgil ate them, right?
Yeah.
Shit. I thought Realian. Okay, yeah.
Also, in my memory, I finally put it together that like when we covered Final Fantasy VIII in the 3rd season of this podcast, the term lunatic Pandora existed in my memories for Xenosaga instead of my memories for Final Fantasy VIII. I thought that the lunatic Pandora was this thing for a long time, but I could never really put all those pieces together.
Oh.
And now I'm realizing it. I thought...
So in Final Fantasy VIII, when the moon was covered in space bugs, that was like, what's this?
Yeah. Because it's kind of the same thing. It's like a floating obelisk type thing, right?
Something fucked in space, yeah.
Yes. Well, Eric, we covered its cutscenes.
We played for a little bit.
We walked to the Foundation, back and back again.
Mm-hmm.
You want to consult the RealNet?
Yeah.
Initializing RealNet.
Hello, RealNet. How are you today? Thank you for joining us. It's nice to see you again. Nice to see the words that you're typing on your computer. Lots of compliments in the RealNet tonight for Albedo's, or Crispin Freeman's performance of Albedo.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's really good. Dirty Brown Man, nice to see you again. Says, Gundam Wing is the only Gundam series I've watched. Should I be proud or ashamed? You should be ashamed. Watch more Gundam.
I think you should be proud. You've watched more Gundam than I have.
I think I already said this, or maybe I absorbed this from Cliff Racer writing this earlier, but Cliff Racer says, hey, wait, isn't it Ziggy's literal job to protect this child?
But Momo Shion was babysitting at that moment.
That's true. But they were all together in a party, but yeah, you're right.
It is weird that Ziggy's still a party member. I guess we're not at second Miltia yet, so he can't hand off delivery.
Yeah, and he really has, like, we got all of Ziggy's backstory right even before we played as Ziggy.
And that's it for this game. That's it.
Eric Van Dyne says, Albedo being insane enough to think of fashion over function is on brand regarding the cape.
I bought some toilet paper this week that, you know how usually the edges are perforated in a straight line?
Mm-hmm.
This toilet paper, the edges have a wave pattern like his cape on the perforation, and it's driving me crazy.
Into madness?
Yeah, I can't deal with it. I need a clean line when I tear the paper.
Sorry that's happening to you, Eric.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I bought a 96 count package.
7-8 says, regarding the Albedo scene, it feels like they're turning every dial up to 11. Yeah, they are.
They cashed it in.
They're waiting for their moment, and they did it. Although you wonder if that was like supposed to be the halfway point of the game or something originally.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, maybe.
WP says Albedo is truly unhinged and they sell it in a way that actually works. Yeah, I do find Albedo relatively believable, if that word makes sense there. Like the performance and his stature as a chaos element. Although I'm starting to think that he's less of a chaos element and he has his own scenario. Is Albedo a scenario guy also?
But he's only in it for himself.
You can have a self scenario.
Well, yeah, no, but as opposed to everyone else who's part of the grand conspiracy that interlinks, I think Albedo is truly just working for himself.
That's true. Andy Hoof says, if Realians have souls, does that mean Virgil likes soul food?
That just induced 100 tired units on me.
It's not my fault. I just work here. Andy Hoof says, judging by the wannabe philosophical rants, I'd say Albedo is more the Jordan Peterson type. I don't know if I'm ready to make that connection yet.
I think Albedo has self-respect.
That's a good way to put it. Cliff Racer says Albedo is pretty much where Nietzschean through leads. Nietzschean through leads. Is that a typo or am I reading that wrong? I think Cliff Racer is saying Albedo is where the Nietzschean through lines of this game lead to.
The ultimate endpoint.
He's willing himself to power by doing fucked up shit.
Yeah, usually the only way to do that in real life is to run for office.
Did we ever talk about the fact that on the internet, there is a undub version of this game where you can play it in Japanese, but with the subtitles and English localization in it?
I don't think we've talked about that, but I'm sure it exists.
It does. Well, some folks in our community are playing it, and I think that's neat. I was just
totally
that it's a thing that people have
that is not for me, but I acknowledge that some people can get more out of it that way.
If I was playing this game for replaying this game on my own because I was insane, then that might be an option just to see something different.
But as someone responsible for capturing a bunch of dialogue in a language I don't understand, I'm not entirely sure how that would benefit.
Not for the podcast. Kal-El says Eric needs to start bringing a Gundam spray bottle to keep Chris in line.
There's so much electronic equipment around here. I thought about spraying Chris with many things, but it's not worth the risk.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to get my Gundam shots in now just because we're covering a game with robots in it before, we move away from robots.
Front mission, no robots there.
Well, those are more like
They're Wanzers.
Yeah, Wanzers are not Gundams.
They have wargasms.
They look more like mech warrior type guys, right? So battle tech guys. Cliff Racer posts a screenshot of the nuclear Miyuki cartridge and says, emailing my coworker a suitcase nuke over the space internet, which is a perfect distillation of what happened there, right?
That's what we did.
That's what happened. Oh, this is from the database about the thing Cliff Racer posted text about the nuke cartridge. I don't remember what it's actually called. A weapon which utilizes the principle of phase transfer within a vacuum. The main body is compacted to Planck scale and it expands into true space once it receives the system activation key from the cartridge. The part that looks like a handgun is actually part of the phase transfer cannon, and once the cannon is activated, it doubles as the laser locking device and trigger component. In the story, the mass in the phrase, by limiting the phase transfer mass, refers to mass in vacuum and the amount of fluctuation in its phase.
It's called the PT cartridge, so I guess that's phase transfer cartridge.
Oh, there you go. Okay. All right, RealNet, thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you on the next episode of Retrograde Amnesia. This episode was recorded on January 4th, 2024, and is a production of Retrograde Amnesia. You can email us at podcast@retrogradeamnesia.com. Find us on Twitter at RetroAmnesiaPod. Blue Sky. Find us on YouTube at Retrograde Amnesia. Patreon.com/RetroAM to get bonus episodes, miniseries, access to the RealNet, support the show, all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Mark Shepard, for the introductory music. And thank you, World Sin, for the podcast artwork. Until next time, Eric.
Sayonara, lady.
Sayonara, baby.
know if you've noticed this, but I've been taking clips of my streams sometimes and turning them into a series called Chris Sucks at Video Games.
Oh, we're gonna get
And I after I did that first one, I was like, I think I'm gonna get a lot of these out of God Hand because I want to teach myself how to do some video editing and making these small clips where there's really nothing but some small transitions or whatever. The one I made the other day, I got so upset that I
don't watch those because spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hello, my name is Mike.
I'm also thinking God Hand may be, let's say, no more than 8 episodes.
Okay, so
there's not a lot to it really. At least unless the back end is loaded.
Yeah,
with extra scenes.
We could always,
which is fine. It's fine.
We could always, I'm sure there'll be a lot of bullshitting about like the mechanics and the moves and stuff that you buy. By the way, I watched the Barbie movie the other day.
So did I.
And there is the Michael Cera character, the nondescript guy. His name is Alan, and I thought that was so funny for reasons I could not articulate to anybody. So I'm so glad that you watched it.
Thank you. Yeah, I like that movie.
Okay, so I saw the third Bourne movie in a day when I saw 3 movies in one day, and I had a really
living the life, man. Good job.
I had a really bad headache by that point, and that made it worse. I think. I don't remember what the other movies were. I think
people like those. I never really got it. Julia Stiles is cool. I don't know.
I liked them at the time. I liked the car chase scene in the first one through Paris. That was a cool car chase scene.
Yeah,
it reminded me of Lupin the Third. Anyway, go ahead.
My thirst thought is Cosmos. Music anxiety plays, and we're about to witness the scene that was rearranged, censored, and some may say, fucking my sentences are fucked up.
It's okay. Yeah.
Where do you want to cut? Voglinde 2, Velgund, Flosside. I butchered that, I'm sure. All systems check. Rhine Maiden operating with normal parameters. 30 seconds to second wave of attack. Coordinate corrections are for Velgund, complete, Floss. I'm dubbing in the other voice.
Yeah. The fast pass people will all get on the ride before you.
I have about a 30-minute rant in me about that, but we can't go down that road right now.
Can you condense it to like 5 seconds?
It's bullshit.
Yes, it's bullshit, but if I can pay $15 and have to wait in fewer lines with my small children, pay it. Already paid enough.
Yeah, but it's not fair to the other fuckers who've also... Never mind, we're not doing this. Trust me, I have kids. I'm going to cut the whole thing in, but I guess for effect, I'll read it. I'll be him.
Yeah, sure. Be Albedo.
The human race fearful...
Don't be Albedo.
Don't. I'm not going to add a fab. I'm just going to read it. The human race, fearful in its weakness, built this world in a few mainframe with Cosmos' DD-SSS sensor.
D-SSS, excuse me.
Except if a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone.
Abideth.